Hi, I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Hi, welcome to another segment of All Politics is Local with your host, Winch, and I have a fantastic, never seen guest this evening. But I just want to take the time to say thank you all so much for your votes on the primary election. Let's do it again on Tuesday, November the 3rd. I'm so excited about November the 3rd, and I'm excited about getting to work in January 2016. You know, this year we have another historical moment. We have an opportunity to elect the most women ever on the Hartford City Council. Let's see how that works out, and see what we can do when we're the ones sitting in the seat. We don't take anything away from anybody else, but it's been a long time, since we've had an opportunity to be in any number on the Hartford City Council anyway. So a lot of things that we want brought on behalf of the city, behalf of our children and our parents and our workforce are just being forgotten or maybe overlooked or maybe prioritized because everybody has their own sense of what the communities need. So we have our own, we, the women, have our own sense of what community needs. And we want to be able to put those things out on the table for you. So I'm going to get right into my guest because I'm excited that she's here. How you doing, Nyesha?
I'm well. Thank you, Arja, for having me on. I know we're breaking boundaries with this show and crossing.
Yeah, but you know what? But listen, I know, but you know what? But that's okay because this is a show tonight about women.
All right.
So it isn't necessarily about political lines. This is about women. And I've always said throughout the campaign that we need to have our seat at the table. If we're going to be heard, we need to be seated at the table. That's why this right here is important, for me to say, hey, look, here is another female opportunity for women.
You're absolutely right. So I am running for city council. I haven't really had an opportunity to get out there because it was a Democratic primary.
Exactly.
And so I think people are surprised in general that there are other parties running because the focus was so intense on the Democrats. But so I feel good that I'm here and I'm talking about the opportunity that I hope to have in serving on council alongside you and Glendolyn.
Exactly. It's going to be. I think it's a phenomenal moment, and it's a great time for the city of Hartford because a lot of things have gone on in the last 4 years. And even although you've not been sitting in the chair, I'm sure that you've been watching. You have a great connection with the educational background and in our schools. So you see a lot of those things just in your everyday work.
I do. And just to keep talking and piggyback on this theme of women, I actually served for 3 years on the permanent commission on the status of Hartford women.
See?
And so, one of the things that I didn't really get to accomplish, I wanted to do like a study and just see how women are doing in general in the city. Because I think, we spend a lot of time talking about the needs of women, but I think we just need to do a little bit more in really addressing those needs. And so I wanted to start where let's just take a snapshot and see how women are doing. What's our employment numbers look like? What's our child care situation look like? And then we can go about and start really tackling the issues that affect women in the city of Hartford.
Yeah, pay is definitely, don't forget pay, because pay is up there too.
Right.
When he's doing the job and she's doing the job, for some reason, she's getting paid a little bit less to do the same job that he is doing.
Absolutely. So tackling those issues and then looking at where are we getting jobs at as women in the city of Hartford? Do we have to look for employment outside the city? Are we going to Windsor, South Windsor, Manchester? Like, where's the employment opportunities and what education and skills do we need in order to get those those jobs.
Yes,
So,
there's been a lot going on around the education during even in the Democratic primary about school systems, about the lotteries and those kind of things. So what's your feel about those kind of situations when parents run into that, trying to get their kids into good schools?
Yeah, no, I think there's been a lot of great work done. I won't take anything away from the work that Elizabeth Horton Chef has accomplished, and the whole Chef Coalition and the Chef movement, providing magnet school opportunities for a lot of Hartford kids. But the reason why we have that is because our schools have traditionally not served us well.
Absolutely.
They've been failing us. And so parents are taking the opportunity to go to a better school. And I don't fault anybody for that, because I think that's your right as a parent. You want the best for your child. And so, but we just have to work at making all schools great schools, because not everybody is getting into a magnet school. And so, we need to focus on MLK. We need to focus on when they rebuild Weaver. What is that going to look like? Wish, Waverly, Milner. All of these schools need our love and support. And so it definitely, it's one of the places where I want to provide more leadership on council, is to focus more on what does it take for us to really make these schools just as great as the magnet school. So,
well, absolutely. So no matter where you live, in our small little 9 miles of living space, you want to be able to send your child to a quality school. And it's strangely enough that all the schools that we mentioned, now I don't know that there are many of them on other parts of the city of Hartford, but all the schools that we mentioned are on the north end side, of the city of Hartford. So we talk about schools in need of the most resources for children with the most needs. We invest the least amount of our dollars there.
That's absolutely accurate. And so I don't think we are being conspiracy theorists to say that
it is what it is.
Like the North End schools have been neglected, which then you can say the North End in general, right?
No, absolutely. We have a very double-digit unemployment in our city for the last 6 years. And I would venture to say that the unemployment in the city of Hartford is about 35% in the North End, where other places might be 25, 29%. We're the highest unemployed.
Yeah. So it's reflected in our schools as well. And then the issues that then get carried into the school are that much more dramatic. And so you have a principal that you're looking at and saying, well, why can't you do this? And the principal's looking back at you and saying, I'm drowning here, help me. Right. It just takes a lot more resources that we really need to start focusing on that collectively.
Absolutely. So if everybody deals with the city of Hartford, the educational system is an educational system, period, then, I think that we'll probably see more equity come in. Even when the state, doing their pilot, the city of Hartford needs to get, closer to the 100%, 85, 95% of the pilot. But at the same time, the city has to show their due diligence in doing, good by the funds that we receive from the state of Connecticut, because they can't pitch in, 85% of the pilot and then we use 65% of it for schools and then, put the rest of it in a general election and use it for something else.
Exactly.
So we can't expect them to continue to give us more if we're not going to do our due diligence.
Absolutely. And I think, I had the opportunity to talk to Karen Lott, who is the principal at Milner, a few times. And, her arms are open, outstretched to the community and saying, I welcome your support. So how do we get more and better coordination? I know Catholic Charities is doing some work there, but do we have a Boys and Girls Club that's partnered with Milner? Or what is the collaboration like between Milner and the YW?
I mean, the Y is like really within walking distance. You think they would make that relationship. So maybe that's one of the things that we're going to have to do when we get to council. Right. Maybe that's one of the things that we're going to have to address and say, hey, all right, look, Mr. Gray, Ms. Milner, listen, let me get y'all two together, and sit there and trying to cultivate that relationship. Because a lot of times it is just basically that. People need to know what your needs are and how can you help me? Okay, I can help you this much. I have this much need. And then try to put those things together where people can get together. Where my favorite saying is 0 is never an option. So I have this magnitude of a need. You can deliver this amount of services. So somewhere between what I need and what you can deliver, we're going to end up. you know, and have a great relationship and just build on that.
And it's interesting that, you know, we started off the conversation talking about women, and I will say this, there is a study somewhere that says women are better collaborators.
So, we do it all the time. You gotta work with the kids, you gotta work with the husband, you gotta work with the boy. Listen, you gotta work with the kitchen, because you gotta try to make things when the grocery is short, you gotta try to make things work. So we're constantly collaborating, whether we realize that's what we're doing or not. We're constantly doing it. So of course we're easier at it, because it's just our nature that we do it all the time.
Absolutely.
So I mean, that's not the cookie cutter to say 100% of women are good at collaborating, because you know they're not. Because like, you know, 100% women don't want to go out in the construction field, because I'm one of them who don't. But trust me, I'm going to push any of them who want to get out there, you know, and do it. I'm going to be behind you 150%.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, you know, we all have our niche, and we all have what's important to us. And we want to just have an opportunity to be able to bring that to the table.
Yeah, so definitely better collaboration to support our schools is something that I want to focus on. And then also just like I said, you know, women and the issues that impact us greatly in the city of Hartford. Let's uncover those and really address those.
Yeah, and I think that parents will probably have an easier time if they have issues with the school system, have an easier time coming in, talking to a woman about those things that are going on inside the school system, things that are happening, you know, with their children in the school, rather than talking to, you know, a guy who maybe is the breadwinner of the house and not necessarily the nurturer of the house.
Right.
So that women understand that, you know, okay, well, she needs to get 3 kids to school. They're in 3 different schools. They're in 3 different grades, you know, and how does she make these things happen and get herself to work?
Absolutely.
So, you know, we understand, you know, having to work all that out, and maybe are easier to say, well, let's see what we can do about getting all the kids in one school. So at least you have to go one place to drop them off and then go to work, rather than trying to share the time. And well, look at PTOs, open houses. How do you get to all of them?
Exactly. And I had to make that decision myself. You know, it was open house night, and children are in different grades, and you have to sacrifice. Thankfully, the little ones teacher said, don't worry about it. I know you got the other ones.
And that probably was a woman who said that. See what I'm saying? Because she understands.
Right. But those are real issues. Those are issues that we're facing every day, and being torn in between it. And so Hartford parents are just as involved as any other parent anywhere else, but we have multiple needs that we are trying to meet. And so how can we make those issues easier for them, or make those choices and decisions easier for women? And I just think having more women on council, having more women in leadership positions will impact the city in that way, because we can address those issues for women.
Right. So, well, absolutely. Those things are definitely not being addressed now. And I think that, you know, we can look at even the times that they do open houses, because a lot of our families are working those hourly jobs. It isn't like they're working in the corporate world where they get a salary. No, if you don't come to work, you're not getting paid. So they have the choices of going to work, putting food on the table, or, you know, not going to work, pay get cut, and then you got to cut something else, you know, in the home. So every parent that's absent is not because they're absent in the street. They may be absent at work. They work in 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, and have to, you know, put responsibility on the older kids to take care of the younger kids, and hope that the kids are in a safe place. So by the time they get off of work, 8:30, 9 o'clock, the children are at home in the bed and not, you know, out in the street getting into dangerous situations.
Absolutely. No, I think there's resources here in Hartford to address a lot of these things, but where I see the gaps is we're not talking to each other, and there's no concerted effort to say, okay, how can we make this work? You know, so we got to do better in that.
No, I agree. And you know, on the council, you know, this time we're so fortunate to get there. I want to not only have meetings downtown, but bring those meetings out to the community, because the history shows that everybody in the community in record number are not coming downtown. If there are issues that they know about, then they will get there for that issue. But other than that, if they're unaware of a lot of things that are going on around our citizens that definitely directly impact their lives, that they're not at the table, that they're not there where those decisions are being made. They're not at those committee meetings where those discussions are being had, so that you do have an opportunity to put your 2 cents in that have an impact on what the outcome is. Our residents aren't there. So you have a committee meeting, you got like 10 people in the room and 5 of them are council people.
Right.
You see?
Right.
So where's the community? And then once the decision is made, then the community says, oh, I didn't want that. But see, there's been like 6 months of going on.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden now it's coming to fruition. And you're like, well, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
It's been there for the last 6 months,
Right.
but the community just not aware. So, you know, I want to make sure that I'm making some of those meetings outside into the community.
I was talking to a business owner and told him, you know, I'm running for council, and, you know, and he said, well, he apologized to me for, you know, he said, well, I really don't have the time to be kind of involved. And I said, you know, it should be us. It should be me that's connecting with you. I said, you know, you don't have to apologize.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that we're connected to you. And that's, you know, to your point, going out into the community does that.
Oh, what a great idea. You know what? Go from business to business and invite people in so they can patronize the business while we're having a meeting.
Hello.
You know, that way we can help, you know, grow small businesses.
That's right.
So, I mean, without even trying to, it's just, you know, just naturally, you go to the business place to have a meeting, people are going to eat, buy something to drink, and they're going to, you know, end up spending some money there.
Exactly.
So the businesses be like, yeah, bring that meeting over here. You know, bring the customers with you when you come. You know?
That's right.
So we got to just try to do it all. And look at here. Here we are. Once the first 15 minutes gone, I think that the executive director must be speeding up the time or something. But that's it. We're not done. We're going to come back to you. Give us like about 2 seconds. We'll be back again on All Politics is Local with your host, Arjo Winch.
I know why she did that.
She's being mean.
Yeah. Can you go talk to her?
I was not being mean to you.
I'm her friend now, but she's still not my friend. She's not my friend no more.
Because they won't vote for you, huh?
Black History Month. We pause to acknowledge and appreciate contributions enriching our cultural and intellectual fabric. Keep it coming.
We are the members of the Everyday Boston Dance Theater, and we celebrate Black history 365 days of the year.
I would have been no other way. Hey, now. Ooh. Alright, this is Worm Beast, and you're watching Access TV. Don't touch the dial. Only you. Only you. Hey.
When I grow up, I'll be your doctor.
I will be a firefighter, or maybe the fire chief.
I'll be a Supreme Court justice.
I'm attorney Jeffrey Dressler. I advocate education. It lasts a lifetime.
And I'm Mayor Pedro Segarra. Be a part of your children's education. Together, we can help our children fulfill their dreams.
All right, welcome back. Before we get into our conversation about women in political power, we're going to talk a little bit about, we have a fundraiser coming up. It is a masquerade party. So those of you who like to dress up on October the 30th, and we're going to start early, like from 7 to 10. Get out of work, don't go home, just put your costume in the car. You know, come over to the Sportsman Club. You can get dressed over there. You know, get dressed in the car, whatever. You know, just don't go home. Because if you go home, you're going to get comfortable, get relaxed. Kids going to start knocking on the door, trick or treat. You're going to never get out. All right. So Friday, October the 30th from 7 to 10. Put your costume on, come down to the Sportsman Club and have some fun with us. We're going to have refreshments. We have a fantastic DJ for y'all. Mark Williams is going to be our DJ. Phenomenal. If you have not heard Mark, you like old school music, you like old school dancing, listen, he is in our era. What era is that? My era. I ain't want to say what era that is. But we're gonna have a good time, and we want you to be a part of it. So even if you don't have a costume, we'll have some little masks down there. You can pick up a mask right on the site. See, we've got everything figured out for you. So we don't want you to have an excuse not to come. All right, so that's October the 30th at the Sportsman Club located at 2976 Main Street. Come down and join us for a masquerade fun time. All right, so we hope to see you there. And then don't forget, on November the 3rd, get you, your mother, your cousin, your father, everybody out to vote. We have record number turnout in the primary this year in the city of Hartford. We want to also have record number turnout in the general election. It's just that important. Because when our congressmen go to Washington, D.C., and they look at the turnout in the state of Connecticut, and the turnout is low, he has a very hard time trying to advocate for funds to come back to your city, to come back to your town, to come back to the state of Connecticut. So all these numbers are connected to something bigger than just going out that day and casting a vote for your local elected officials. So you all know me, I'm Arjo Winch. I'm on row A. With the same row A that you voted for in the primary election, but just in a different order. So, you know, we're on row A, but we're not talking about row A tonight. We're talking about women for political power, because this year we have an opportunity to ensure that more women are at the table than have been in the last 5 to 6 years. So that's what's important to us tonight, women in political power. So speaking of women in political power, there's Nyesha McCauley, who happens to be a Republican running for Hartford City Council.
That's right. And so I'll be on row B. So no, it's important to talk about November 3rd, because the other piece about November 3rd and coming out to vote is that you still have choices to make.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not a done deal. It's not over just because we got through the primary, but you still have choices to make. And let me be one of your choices.
Look, 9 people are going to serve on the Hartford City Council. People only get to pick 6. But 9 people are going to be selected. So it goes, the top 9 people are going to be selected. So 1 through 9 are going to end up on the city council.
And so Arjo, I just wanted to, it may be kind of hard to see the ballot, but we'll come back to it. I'm sure you will at another time. But, you know, the way the ballot reads is that you pick 6. You know, you pick 6.
Any 6.
You pick any 6. And so when you get into the polling place, you know, your ballot's going to look something like this. And so what you want to do is just go across and, you know, I'm saying, this is Nyesha McCauley saying. So come on over and pick your 3. Pick your 3 or 4 on row A, but then just come on down here.
Like a Southern girl. Just come on down. Come on down 1. Come on down 1. So what are you, 5B? Come on
5B.
Down. Yeah, come on. She said, come on down 1 to 5B. All right. So, but you know, when you get in there, the people who are not Democrats, the independents, you know, Democrats, we want everybody to vote. So, but if you are Republican, you want to stick to your party, then Nyesha says, you know, she's on 5B. She hopes that she gets every single Republican vote. Those of you who are unaffiliated, you also can vote for anybody on the ballot. She's advocating for, you know, that you make her, you know, one of your choices, because there are going to be 9 people that are going to be serving on the Hartford Council. Unfortunately, you don't get 9 votes. So you're going to have to figure out what you do with the 6 votes that you do get. All right. So don't y'all forget Arjo now. I'm on A3. Don't you forget Arjo on A3. But, you know, we're advocating that people get out and vote. That's the main thing. And women, vote your conscience. You know what our needs are. We understand you because we're all right here. We live this life every single day. So we know where we are. We're asking you to give more women an opportunity to sit at the table to serve you.
Absolutely. And, you know, I live in the city of Hartford. You know, we live in the city of Hartford. We spend a lot of time growing up in the city and raising children in the city, and some of the realities of that for a little stint of time I was without a car. So that means I was on the bus or I was walking, I was getting rides.
Been there.
And let me tell you, pushing a stroller around this city sometimes is very difficult, particularly in the wintertime.
But just think of the people who have to do that all the time and don't have the opportunity to actually sometime get a car. They're still pushing the stroller and catching the bus to get to work.
Right. And grocery shopping and
all
running other errands. And so that's why I think, when you get into that polling place and you're looking at that ballot, those are the things that I want on your mind, is that who really can best serve your needs. And so I think having more women on council has that kind of impact, because that's what we're bringing to the table. That's on my mind because I could have caught the bus coming to the council meeting myself.
Okay. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So, but that's how you make those connections, because we are a very small town and we are an urban city. So, 90% of us, are urban, or minority, I should say. 90%, of our city is made up of people of minority. We have more than 60 different dialects, inside the city of Hartford. So that's a lot of, breakup of a whole lot of people. But I mean, that's who we are. You talk about a melting pot. Hartford is really like a salad bowl, because like everybody brings who they are to the table. Everybody brings their culture, their ideas, and we welcome each and every one of them. So, and that's what makes me, so excited about Hartford. That's one of the things that I like about being in the city of Hartford and living in Hartford, because you do get a chance to meet lots of people. I mean, weekly, daily, you could run into 5 different ethnic groups in a day, or just a trip downtown and run into somebody who you've not met before, who is from a different culture than you are. And in my personal opinion, I think that's where our strengths are, because we get to grow and educate as we talk to those people. Because if everybody was an Arjo, life would be boring. I'd wake up in the morning, I know exactly what you were thinking. I know exactly what you were going to do. I know your wants, but because all of us are different, that part is so exciting to me. And I have not met anybody who I think is a stranger, and then my little granddaughter, Desharia, people like, where's Desharia? Every time I go somewhere, like, we're joined at the hip. I have to watch her sometimes because she's the same way. She doesn't know any strangers. So, for children, that could be kind of dangerous. But as an adult, she's going to be fine, because she's going to just have a open and a kindred spirit to everybody that she meets, because everybody have needs, everybody have desires, everybody have wants. And so being an elected official, your desire has to be, how do I nurture, how do I help that person to get to where they want to go?
And we do have a high population of people who are new to the city and they're coming from other countries. So we have a high immigrant population.
Yes, we do.
So what are their needs, and how are we addressing there are cultural differences. And so how do we make sure that we are culturally sensitive as a city?
And when they get their kids to school, what are some of the barriers?
Yes, absolutely. And just in communication itself. Not everybody is going to come down to City Hall, going back to what we were talking about earlier. And so how do we make sure that we're reaching those people that will never come to City Hall? Right.
Because there are many. Because I served on the city council for the 8 years prior to this 4 years. And you'd be surprised at the number of people who do not come to City Hall. But then some of them who do come, you be like, oh, okay, well, this is different. And then you got to try to, work your way around it, because it's their City Hall too.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to make anybody feel like they're not welcome to come into the building. You just got to constantly keep re-educating yourself and keep making adjustments.
And that's the one thing I've heard going around the city, when you're campaigning, you're talking to thousands of people now and you're hearing different things. And the one thing that I hear so loud and clear is that people really, truly want one Hartford. People want to feel that sense of belonging.
Exactly.
And so whether you live on the north end or south end, you want to feel just as comfortable if you're from the north end in the south end and frequent those restaurants that are over there and attend those meetings that are in the south end, and not have like, oh, well, that's them over there and that's what they do. And
I think that I would like to, one of the things when you talk about the whole educational experience, I'd like for like our kids to do that. Like kids go visit other schools, and see what other schools are like, have interaction with other school children, because a lot of our adults, have yet to go downtown, and it's like 2 miles away, from Albany Avenue. But because they just don't get there, they just don't have that connection. They don't see a need to. When I was on the council, the last thing, that one of the most warming things to my heart was this lady was like 100 years old who had never been downtown, ever been downtown. And so we did a little birthday citation for her. She came all dressed up with a little hat and stuff, you know, because them old people, they like to dress when they go. And it was so, you know, so rewarding, you know, to know that, okay, she had that one reason, you know, why she needed to come downtown. Out of all those years living in Hartford, all this time, and never going downtown.
Yeah, you know, I have an opportunity to sit around a lot of planning meetings and tables, being working in education and just, you know, being a part of the fabric of the city. And that's the way meetings get planned or events get planned based upon location. Well, we got to have it here because, you know, these people over here won't come over here.
Yes, we got 20 events.
Right. And so tackling some of that and tearing down some of those barriers and making people feel just as comfortable anywhere in the city.
Exactly.
You belong. That should be like our campaign. I think it belongs to somebody else.
We'll get something similar that means the same thing. Yeah.
You belong everywhere.
We be the people.
Right.
Something,
right.
You know,
this is our city.
Yeah, exactly. One Hartford. I mean,
this
we could not say it, you know, any plainer than that. You know, one Hartford. And I totally agree with you that we have got to begin to fuzzy the lines so that people don't say, well, I live in the North End, the East End, the West End. I live in Blue Hills. I live in Asylum Hill. I live in Frog Hollow. And I think that somewhere down, you know, way before we got into this business, that somebody decided that you could actually tackle the neighborhoods better if you kind of, you know, split them up in little pockets. But what they didn't foresee is that people would begin to just stay in that pocket and not go out to other areas. So as you live in a NRZ area, when you talk about city services and stores and small business building, it's easy for that NRZ just to work on their area. But then if you have a great NRZ chair who works on your area, and then another NRZ chair who just, you know, is an NRZ chair and not really taking it serious, because it's not a paid position. You know, they're volunteers. So it depends on how energetic your NRZ chair is to what your area is going to receive.
That's true.
So, you know, that's something that we need to relook at. You know, the focus, I can kind of grasp the idea of why it was that way. But now, is it working to be one Hartford?
Exactly. Because you had mentioned it earlier. What are we? We're 18 square miles.
9 miles of living space.
Right.
The rest of parks.
Right. So whatever's happening in one NRZ is affecting the other one.
Absolutely.
And so, not have those walls there that are so impenetrable that we can't get through and talk to each
this
other.
is my area. You know, this is your area. And so that's the thing that we try to get our kids to do when we send them to school. We want them to integrate. So we got to begin to integrate the old folk, the adults. Okay, we got to integrate the adults too, because otherwise we're never going to move. You know, as one Hartford, pockets will be moving, but then everybody not moving, and we want everybody to move.
And I really see that happening in the North End. You know, you have this area of town that has been neglected, and so you have these other pockets of success, right? But we got to move everybody forward.
Everybody
we
needs
got
to
to move
move
everybody forward.
Exactly. So I think that one of the things, people have their pros and cons about the baseball stadium, and I think that one of the things, because of the location of the baseball stadium, that hopefully, you know, more people will come from the North End, you know, into the stadium. If it's not for baseball games, when the season is not in, maybe there'll be concerts, maybe there'll be circus, maybe there'll be other fairs that will be happening on those grounds, because I hear they only play baseball 4 months out of the year. So the other 8 months, and then maybe during the winter time, they'll be able to cover it and do ice skating. I don't know. But something has to happen with those fields.
Right. And that's the conversation that we need to start having now. I think people still are dwelling on the fact that, you know, they still feel a little sour grapes about the whole thing.
But it's going to happen.
But it's going to happen. Right. So the conversation should switch now to, okay,
how do we make the best of it?
How do we make the best of it? And how do we make it work for everybody? You know, and I think when there were the stadium meetings, I heard a lot of great ideas, you know, people were bringing to the table. And so let's keep that going. You know, let's bring those ideas back. People were talking about more baseball leagues and clubs.
Youth leagues, T-ball, you know, for the kids.
So I'm all about that. You know, however I felt about the stadium, it's
Doesn't
done.
matter now.
It's done.
Right.
It's
Doesn't
a big
matter
hole
now.
in the ground with steel beams.
That's what I'm saying. It's coming. It's coming. So it's just a matter of, what we Hartford are going to do with it when there are no games being played, because we got to pay for it. We're going to reach in our pocket, contrary to what the other administration said. We're going to pay for it.
Right.
It's a part of Hartford's landscaping, and we got to make it work.
Right. And then also looking at it from a business perspective, what other business ventures can we piggyback on and create from the baseball stadium? So there's food service, obviously, where there's opportunity for more restaurants and things like that. But there's other business opportunities that can come. There's a sign shop, exclusive lines, not too far down.
Yes,
down
somebody got to do uniforms. Somebody going to do repairs. Somebody got to do the ground. They're going to need round-the-clock security. So there's opportunity for a lot of jobs for Hartford residents.
Right.
So, and you're right that, on council, we got to really be mindful of how we do, take care of the residents. Is time going already? You sure you started the clock? Whoa, time has gone. We're going to have Nyesha come back, and we didn't even get to like 10% of all the conversations that she wanted to have. So thank you all for joining us here on another segment of All Politics is Local, where this night we talked about women for political power. So join us again here on accesstv.org.